as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding peace. Spirit, show through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding love. As I open up to be an expression of your unfolding peace, and Spirit, show through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding love.
Good evening and welcome to our Midweek Faith Lift. Today is a Wednesday, December 21st, 2022, and we're almost close to Christmas time. Close to Christmas. I'm welcome to our Midweek Faith Lift. I'm joined here with Geno Petro,
yes,
a member of Unity of Chattanooga,
yes,
which is a New Thought church here that practices practical Christianity in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you're also a part of the Mark Hyatt Real Estate Partners team here in Chattanooga.
Mark Hite, yeah, Real Estate Partners, yes.
Yeah, Mark Hite, H-I-T-E.
Yes.
Yeah. And I hear that they're the number one real estate team here.
Yeah, we're in Chattanooga area, Eastern Tennessee, North Georgia, yeah.
Yeah.
And for years in a row, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And great people. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. I've gotten a couple gift cards from him. One I got from on Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh.
I was able to take that
yeah,
to.
You got a pie.
Yeah. No, it was for a pie,
yeah.
but I could use it for anything.
Anything.
At the what is that place called? The Country
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. Yeah. So I went there and got a breakfast.
Yeah. You're going to get something in the mail today too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. That's so.
It might not have anything in it except a love note, but I sent Christmas cards out the other day. So.
Well, that's
from Mark, yeah. So.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. I mean, the team. Mark,
well, you're a client. We sold one of your homes for you, so that put you on the list.
Yeah. And you guys did a wonderful job doing that. And thank you so much for referring your friend.
Oh yeah,
one of your teammates.
Yes.
Yeah, he did a really good job. He calmed me down and let me know it's going to sell, and we got it sold. So I'm really grateful for that. But also, we got you here because this is it's around Christmas time, and always we want to always offer our viewers hope and we want to offer them hope, and we want to show them that anything is possible.
Yes.
And we want to also show them that when things are not going well, that if they hold on and have faith, that things may eventually turn around for them. So we want to, remind our viewers of that. And so you're here today to kind of talk a little bit about your recent diagnosis, your recent experience with cancer.
Yes, right.
And I know a couple months ago you were diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. You want to tell us a little bit about what that experience was like?
Yeah, so back in September, actually, I was diagnosed with stage 4 esophageal cancer, which is not a very good prognosis. I mean, you would think, okay, that sounds like not as bad as other ones, but apparently it's a pretty rare type compared to lung cancer. Even talked to the surgeon yesterday, and it's not a great not a great outlook of, good results type of thing, but I went through, the chemo and the radiation and all of that, and it was remarkable result and remarkable results. But at the same time, I really bonded more with my Unity Church and Reverend Doug, and brought prayer into it, and some some teachings of Myrtle Fillmore and Charles Fillmore,
yeah.
and some of those practices, and together it really vanished it. Although on a microscopic level, on a microscopic level, it might still be present. But whatever, I'm grateful, and I'm at the next step right now. So we have to make some decisions on what to do, surgery or not. My wife and I, Mona, have talked about that. And by the way, this is from my lovely wife, Mona.
Oh, wow.
I teasingly call you her church husband.
Mona, my church wife.
Yeah. Anyway, this is from her.
Well, thank you so much, Mona. Thank you for the gift, and I really appreciate you guys, and I appreciate my church family. You guys are, I mean, I've been around good people here at Unity of Chattanooga, and you guys, the Petros are definitely a part of my family. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, but tell me a little bit about. And tell our viewers, because a lot of times, we get like in this little tunnel where we think that we are alone sometimes, and we think we're the only ones that's facing something. And sometimes people need to know what other people are doing to get through particular situations.
Right.
I know I've had my own struggles with diagnosis, and there are things that I had to do to get through that diagnosis. But I want to know a little bit about how that felt when you first heard the news, and how you dealt with that on a spiritual level, and on a mental level, and on a physical level.
Right.
How you dealt with that news when you first got it.
Right. So, the news was a gut punch. It's a gut punch because I used to joke about it. I don't anymore, even though I'm going to say it right now. I mean, I've had a couple friends that were dying for years on Facebook. They got the diagnosis, and then I look, and it's like 2 years later, and it's like, I thought they were diagnosed. And all of a sudden, one day, their spouse is on their Facebook page saying, Sarah passed away today, or Melissa is gone, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's so real. I mean, it does happen, and then, so that's, I guess without rambling, the answer to that question is I've looked later in life, back on my life in 3 trimesters, the first 33 years, and the second 33 years, and the third 33 years, if you're going to live to 100. I'm in the third trimester. So now, and so things are a little bit different. So it hit me, when you're 30 years old, 50 years ahead of you, one of the last things you're thinking about is, when am I going to die? Or, I have plenty of time to right my wrongs in life and everything. Luckily for me, when I was in my 30s, about over 30 years ago, I went into a recovery program, a 12-step program, AA, and for 3 decades I've been active in it, and for 23 years continuous. Actually had 5 years and went on a Mexican vacation and had a little fun on the beach one afternoon, and next thing you know, I started from day one all over again.
Wow,
But it's been continuous ever since. But so for the last 28 and a half years, except for one afternoon, I've been continuously sober. And that was that last afternoon was like 23 something years ago. So that has helped me. The 12 steps. The long answer to the short question that you asked me is the 12th step is, and after having a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we've tried to carry the message and practice these principles in all our affairs. Now, after going to thousands of meetings before Unity Church, I had to come to grips with that because I was not really spiritual. I mean, I was not religious, I'm not spiritual or anything. I took martial arts, as you did for years, Taekwondo, and, there was like the tenets, thinking before acting, use good judgment before killing any living thing, always finish what you start. And so that was kind of like getting you in the right direction, but it was not really anything spiritual I got into. And then later in life, I went through all the belts and all of that. And I got a little bit of a spiritual bent, but not much. More it was like, watch, I would think of myself as like kung fu on television. I'm above everybody in a plane of spirituality, but it really wasn't. And when I came to Unity Church, and one of the things, and the last thing I'll probably say about AA here is that they have a saying, "I keep coming back." Mm-hmm. And when I kept coming back until one day it clicked with me, and I did have a spiritual awakening of some sort. Mm-hmm. When I came to Unity, my wife, we moved here to Chattanooga in 2019, pre-pandemic. She came first because I found this really cool church. I really like it. We'd gone to Unity in Chicago once or twice. It was really, really cool, but it was like nothing I could wrap my mind around or wanted to be involved in. And here I just followed her every Sunday for the last couple years. And I kept coming back. Mm-hmm. And then one day, it kind of hit me, this is my family. Mm. And then one day I just really started loving everybody there, you know. And then when this diagnosis was given and it was announced in church, which I wasn't really planning on doing that, but Mona wanted to let everybody know in the family that everybody reached out to me, and the prayers and the prayer groups and everything just seemed to spiritually infuse me, through osmosis or something. Anyway, that's why I'm there, and that's why I keep coming back there too. So I am, I don't know how many people you have left in your address book, and I'm probably the last on the list as far as spirituality goes that you can interview, but that's me as best as I can say it, but I can answer any other questions. I was just raised Catholic, and there's a lot of loopholes in Catholicism that I figured out at a young age. So, I could do whatever I want to do and go to confession and, lie there too. And you get over and get 20 Hail Marys and 10 Our Fathers and get till next week.
Right.
Here it's a little bit more, you're a little bit more responsible for your actions. And, but I really want to help other people and as best I can and spread the message.
So how would you help other people that's facing something that you're facing at this time? Like what kind of things what kind of suggestions would you give them?
Well, going back to the AA thing, the thing that works in that, for those of you that aren't in the program or in a program like that, those people, we rally around a common enemy. We're all different. Especially, in my Chicago group, and I have a very, very tight-knit Chicago group I'm from, I still stay in touch with 4 really close guys there. There we had a common enemy, and the common enemy was, for me it was alcohol and drugs. That was not my thing. But we rallied around the common enemy, and then our goal is to, anybody else is suffering with that, let me listen to you, take you to a meeting, help you as best I can. As far as unity goes, and as far as being spiritual goes, I think for me as a living example to continue to do the right thing and not have bad behavior is one way I can. Society's better off. My friend had a nickname called Mino Geno. The society is better off without Mino Geno. Mino Geno is when he was drinking. So just by living by example, I think is by a sober example, and is and I am not religious, and I don't identify as a Christian even, but I am still open and listening carefully. So, I think I'm probably still, want to be more of a giver than a taker, but I think I'm still a taker when it comes to spirituality and unity and help and other people. But I am willing to listen to anybody.
What are some of the spiritual things you've taken from Unity thus far? If you've taken anything.
Yeah. I think I think the biggest effect I've noticed is my lack of, when you walk, for me at least, when I walk into a new group of people at work, wherever, I have judgmental. I'm judgmental. And I'm thinking, that person's like that. Met you, you're like this. You know, they said you were in martial arts, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe he just says he is. And a lot of people say they are and they aren't.
I'll kick his ass. No.
I don't know if he's in martial arts to me.
Right.
Or someone, oh, that sounds fake. Or, our first pastor was very, not that Doug isn't charismatic, but our first pastor was over the top charismatic. Right. And it's like, let me just judge a little bit here. And then as I started to coming back and I started to see everybody for more than what they are, if you learn to stop the judgment and just see, God, I love these people.
Wow.
And because they don't seem like they were judging me. So I think probably and that's something I've always tried to, I've had a quick wit and quick to criticize and judge people in my head. That's what I'm working on not doing, and I feel like I'm better at that at age 66 than I definitely was even 5 years ago. So I don't know if that's the answer to the question.
Yeah, it definitely answers the question. That's something that you've been able to take from
yeah, and then some of the readings too. I bought the books. I bought a couple. Haven't opened them yet, but they're on my nightstand. One of Charles Fillmore's books, the 12 areas. I can't remember the title of it. And then my wife gave me one to read with plenty of notes made for me, which I haven't read yet, but I'm going to. And then I had, I guess 3 or 4 people, including you, and Eric Nelson, Eric Miller, who had on a few weeks ago, just giving me some self-affirmation things to say, some mantras that I say out loud 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the afternoon, and throughout the day. It's kind of like the Serenity Prayer. It's basically, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm strong. I'm young, I'm strong, I'm healthy. My body knows it, my body shows it. That I am being the affirmation part of it. These are things that I think I could have understood a couple years ago, but wouldn't embrace. But I think between the diagnosis and then, the spiritual connection that I've received and some of the interesting things that Doug talks about that goes beyond just Christianity, goes into
the metaphysics,
past lives and different dimensions and stuff. That intrigues me and attracts me. So that keeps me coming back as well. So and he says a lot. And and whenever I see Doug, he takes me to the side and he puts his hand on me. You can almost feel that I can feel something happening.
Got some energy going on.
Yeah,
right?
some energy. I can feel it being transferred. So that's something I'm not making up in my head.
Yeah. Well, what does that do for you? Like, what does not? You said you're starting not to judge. And why? Why not? Why not do? Why do you want to not do that? What is that?
Why do I don't want to not do that? Okay, so in the 3rd trimester, let's just be more realistic that these trimesters are 25 years, and 50 would have been the second one. I'm 66, so I noticed something and I'm just going to say this. And today's my mom's. 19, 20, 21, 22. 3 years ago today, my mom passed.
Wow. Okay.
10, 11, 12, 13 years ago, my father passed. Not today, but back in April. What I noticed in his last trimester, and he was in the hospital a lot. He had multiple diseases and things he was fighting. He just became very religious. Not that, and we were always Catholic, but we were like your typical Catholic. We wouldn't eat meat on Friday. We go to church on Sunday, and we'd give the minimum amount. Let me just say another thing I do here is I do tithe. I do tithe, and I do try to, in this last portion of my life, be a lot more generous with my friends that are in need. And if somebody, it's mostly through Facebook. You reach out, you see someone's having a hard time. I don't have to do a GoFundMe page, but if I ever did, I would be very grateful. And when I see someone with a GoFundMe page that I know that I love and that I can help, I will. Be a little bit, $50, $100 here or there occasionally. And it's been more than occasionally lately. Makes me feel like I'm helping a little bit. But so in my dad's end of his life, I noticed that and I'm thinking he's praying because he's dying. He's praying because he knows he better get straight. Better get his shit straight. And that's part of it. That's with me too. I think when I spoke in church the other day, they asked me, it's like, if I have 5 years to live or however long, hopefully longer, it give me enough time to become that person I was put here to be. Let's get as far away from Geno as we can. So the reason why I'm doing that is because I know I'm going to die soon. Sooner than later. Eventually, 66, whether it's 10, I don't have 50 years, no matter what. So I need to get straight with that. Because I'm start thinking about the afterlife a lot more when you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that light is the end. So I don't know if that answered that question.
No, it definitely does. It does. I know for me.
For me personally.
Yeah, I know that there are those kind of behaviors that I practice that are not behaviors that are healthy for me. I know that they send me down a track that makes things worse in my life, not only on a physical level but also on a mental level. So for me, I practice those things not because I'm worried about going to hell or anything. I practice those things because I put myself in hell when I am judging, when I'm judging someone, when I'm being all the other things that are low energy, when I'm doing those things that are, I just say low energy things, when I'm in hate or when I'm in judgment or when I'm in criticism. Those behaviors tend to send me into a lower vibration and take me to places that I don't want to be. And I consider that to be hell here on earth,
right?
in the physical on earth. So, I practice those positive, higher energy behaviors just to stay out of that hell place.
Yeah, I agree. And that's another thing that I liked about unity. I mean, they don't really acknowledge hell. I mean, in Catholic Church, there's eternal damnation. There's and then I guess in some Christianity, as long as you accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, at the very last minute you're saved. I mean, I guess so. For them, everybody, it's all good. Buddha, it's all good. Islam, it's all good for whatever you believe. I'm not critical of any of that, but I do kind of like the fact that we don't really go there when it comes to eternal damnation at Unity Church.
And it's similar to like what you talked about the 12 steps. It's a personal responsibility kind of environment where you can change the situations that you find yourself in. And I think that's some of the stuff that you've been learning lately. That I think you've been the fact that you've done those affirmations. Why were you doing those affirmations? What was the purpose of you? Why were you doing them?
Well, I mean, they were suggested by somebody, and I, instead of me having all the answers, for everything, it was like I've learned to listen a little bit. And when somebody goes out of their way, the handwrite me and Penny has given me things as well. Handwritten, Geno, I thought of you. Here, look at this.
Right.
And then they hand me something, and it's affirmation, or Penny said Geno, Geno. Geno means generous.
Wow.
And it's just like, wow, that's thank you. So I mean, what am I supposed to do? Toss it up and throw it in the back seat? Maybe I should listen. So it's I remain teachable. I guess.
Yeah. And so in practicing those things, do you see anything? Does anything happen for you as a result of practicing those things or reading those things? Do you see a difference in you?
I have been worrying less about things in life. I mean, part of it has to do with Mona and I are both we're blessed in a lot of ways, and this morning she's saying maybe we should talk about retiring, and we can. How much is enough, but I don't. I guess I'm not. One of the things about the steps is when you get to a certain point, the fear of a lot of things will leave you. Financial insecurity being one of them. Doing the next right thing becomes natural. You want to try and help somebody, it should be less. So a lot of things naturally I've evolved into. When through Unity's brought it to my mind. I think I go to first thing we all ask because our in-laws live with us. Mona's parents live with us as well. And it's we have a wonderful extended family with their own space. We have, upstairs, they live downstairs. We do have dinner together a long time. I stopping to see them every day. And one thing we all, how did you sleep last night? Mona's like, how did you sleep last night? And I go down to her parents, did you sleep well last night? I said, yeah, did you sleep well last night? She's like, yeah, we're all sleeping well. Or if no, you didn't sleep well. Oh, no, that's a shame. That's the first question all us old people ask each other. And I guess what I can say is I sleep well. Because when I was younger,
Mino Nino. Mino Gino.
I didn't sleep too well.
Right. You look out the window. Like,
I'm looking out the window.
Are they coming?
The phone call, the phone ring. It's like, oh God, it's American Express.
Right.
I'm late again on the payment.
Yeah.
Years ago. Anyway.
So that definitely
Yeah. I mean, so I guess the acceptance, of things, and it's and the bad news. And my friend always says, Geno, you look so buttoned up. Unbutton that top button. It's like, button this top button so I can breathe. I think it looks cool. And then I look at myself and say, God, I look like Poindexter.
I thought it looked fine.
Yeah.
I mean, but
anyway, as we were saying, I forgot where we were even at. So.
or we were just talking about the certain making. What were we talking? We were talking about. You were talking about your parents, your in-laws, and how you guys check on each other. And it's really the simple things in life that mean something as you get older and as you get into age, and those things that were important are not so important anymore. It's all about getting a good night's sleep.
Yeah, it is, and and they are very Christian, Baptist, Southern Baptist, and I totally respect that. And they, her father can say, if you ask me to say grace at dinner, or what we call grace in the Catholic Church, we have a rote thing that we spit out. And I have a bunch of rote prayer. I grew up Catholic and went to Mass every day up through the 6th grade in the morning, before school. And it was in Latin in the beginning, and it was like Vatican I. Wow. And then Vatican I is like pre-1960, I guess, 5 or something.
That's tough.
And that's like, you are going to hell if you eat meat on Friday. And and the nuns, it was like all the stereotypes. It was that way. They'd crack heads, yank hair. The priests were, I know it was never abused, but they were very mean Irish guys, not that Irish means anything, but we just had a string of them that were just old school.
No nonsense, yeah.
Yeah, no nonsense. That's different now, I think. But so Mona's father will say a prayer blessing, and he's saying it. He just locks right in, and it just comes out, and it's not rote. It's not memorized. And some of the words he says the same thing. It's like I can never say a blessing like that. And Geno, will you say the blessing? I have a Catholic prayer. Bless us, Lord, for these thy gifts we're about to receive. Throughout Christ, Lord, amen. Let's eat. Throw out as many articles and adjectives as you can in the sentence and make it short so it's ready to eat. Her father will bless the meal and our meals, and you feel like saying amen at the end. And that is the other thing. I think I'm open to a lot more things than I was earlier. And I don't know if that's because I'm just older. Or, some people get meaner with age. Some people become more cantankerous. Some of those old Clint Eastwood characters, and he plays as a grumpy old man. He hadn't changed. I have to think that I have changed somewhat.
Yeah. So what's next for what's next for you? What's next for you? What are your goals going forward as far as life?
Okay, so the next thing for us, and this might fall in the category of too much information, TMI or anything, but so the next thing Mona and I have to decide, if I'm going to go through with the surgery. The post, it's a pretty extensive removal of esophagus and stomach and meshing together, and that does not give my odds much better, and it doubles my odds of survival for 5 years. But it's not great odds. It's still 60% that it's not going to work, or it's going to come back in another form later. I have until now, and I met with the surgeon. I was supposed to give him the answer yesterday. I met with the surgeon yesterday, and I said, I need to, because there's, after what the regimen they put me through with the radiation and the chemo, then there's a window of time where, it grew great results. It's gone in a lot of places. that's the time to go in and do it. So we know it's not going to go someplace else. And that is a ticking time bomb or clock or whatever alarm. And within 30 days, you're supposed to do something, either that or go through immunotherapy, which is another form of chemo, which is
It keeps the cancer down.
yeah, which is a more lifelong thing, except the problem is, I have really, really good health insurance. I mean, we're into the hundreds of thousands of dollars now, and it's going to be that again, just for the the drugs are so expensive, and the insurance isn't going to pay for that forever. So I have to make the decision by January the 7th what we're going to do there. And then, plus I'm still working. I was, selling real estate yesterday, so I'm still not ready to stop doing that yet. And then I want to, I don't know. You know what? It goes back to the A. That's one day at a time in a lot of ways for me. I'm not projecting too far out. I mean, we have some goals of our life already set in place that are going to happen, whether I sell another piece of real estate or not, financially. So, so putting the financial thing away, and Mona probably keep working, and then I'm just gonna one day at a time, and keep everybody posted.
I'm wondering, and I heard you mention that you and Mona are going to sit down and talk about whether you're going to go through the surgery or not.
Right.
Have you guys thought about any type of spiritual things or treatments that you guys could talk about that may be beneficial down
Yeah, well,
the line?
Doug's guiding me that way, and and what he told me is okay, because how are we doing on time? Okay, so.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, we're gonna ready to end in a few.
And in a minute, okay. So one of the things was when I was taking the radiation daily. One of the things that Myrtle Fillmore did, she wasn't in radiation, but she would start with the top of her head and visualize it leaving whatever it was that was bothering her, and she'd go down through her esophagus, through the center of her body, through her stomach, through her legs, through her arms, and have it expelled or have it replaced with goodness or whatever. And so when I was getting my radiation, I was going through the same thing. Doug had helped me, with some thought and some positive thinking and affirmation. And what he's told me since then is don't stop doing that. Don't stop doing that just because you got a good diagnosis. The surgery is going to be a week in the hospital, and then a month on my back, and then 2 months with the feeding tube. And that's what I don't want to do any of that. So that's what I don't know how you can replace prayer when you're on a feeding tube and you're hooked up in the hospital. I mean, you can pray all you want. I mean, there's thousands of people in the hospital right now dying. There's people dying all over the world, whether they're good people or bad people, feeding tube, no cancer, whether they pray or they don't pray, they're dying today. So I don't expect any special anything from praying other than maybe replacing some, bad stuff with some good stuff. So, I mean, that's how I'm approaching that at this point. Without the surgery, I'm going to try to stay as, as spiritually balanced as I can.
Oh, cool. Well, it's all about expectation, so I totally understand that. Well, I want to thank you for coming out and joining us.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Mona for the gift again.
She's great.
Yeah, and I want to remind our viewers, now, are we doing Spiritual Connection tomorrow on Thursday?
Yes.
We're doing Spiritual Connection at Manufacturers Road at Whole Foods on the top mezzanine. So viewers that are here in Chattanooga, you're welcome to join us at Whole Foods.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
We have a great conversation.
Yeah. And did you go last week?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know, did Mona stop with the cards, or she's still doing those cards? We got something else going on.
Penny had another card, understanding card.
Oh yeah, the ones that I think I purchased those from Unity Worldwide.
We did
Ministry.
those. Then there was another new fellow there, and
cool.
Eddie, and he showed up. And then we have to go to another function afterwards, so we're only going to be there for like an hour tomorrow.
Yeah.
Other people always come. So.
Yeah. That's a really nice time for us to get together, just to kind of.
No, I love it. Yeah.
And then we also have our service. We're not going to have service this Sunday. We're going to have service Saturday, actually, at 6. Is it going to be 6:30?
I do not know.
I need to look that up. I think it's going to be.
I'm a follower. Not a leader.
Yeah, and I think the service is at 6:00 or 6:30. But for more information,
Red Bank,
Red Bank Community Center. But it's definitely on Saturday. And if you want more information about that service, I'm going to put up an email address right there, contact@unityofchattanooga.org to get more information on that Saturday service. We're not having service on this Sunday. We're having service on Saturday. And I think the service is at 6 or 6:30. I'm not absolutely sure. Okay. But we got the email. So if you're not sure, just email that email address on the bottom of your screen, and we'll get that time to you for this Saturday. Geno, I want to thank you again for coming.
You're welcome.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Yes.
And on Saturday.
I will be there.
And I want to remind our viewers to like, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube page. I know a lot of you guys watch us on Facebook, but I'd like you to go over to YouTube, please, to our YouTube channel, which is Unity of Chattanooga YouTube channel, and subscribe to that channel. Our goal is to reach 500 viewers, and right now we're at 250. So we'd like to get about 250 more viewers. So if you can go over there and subscribe, we'd like that.
Like,
subscribe, yeah.
Subscribe.
Like and subscribe and comment. Thanks again. We'll see you guys later.